Have you ever felt like a total fake when it comes to the job that you're doing? Or maybe it's even in something like the role of motherhood or an organization you're volunteering in, whatever it is, pushes that button for you that says, I am totally faking it here. And I just hope nobody notices. I don't really know what I'm doing. And I wonder if everybody can tell. And all those things that really rob us of our confidence. For many people, especially women, there's something called the imposter syndrome. And so it causes us to feel like we're just really lucky, like anybody could do what we do. It makes us downplay our brilliance. I love that term of, owning your brilliance is what I call it, because that's when we really are owning all of who we are, all of our genius. And yes, that is also including our weaknesses. So let's talk about the imposter syndrome a little bit and how you might know if you've got it. I've got a 3-video series here. This is the first one, where I'm going to give you some tips for how to deal with it, how to improve it, how to start to shift it in your life. So here's how you know you've got it. If any of these scenarios sort of ring true for you, where you're going to work every day and you feel like you kind of put on a good show, but if anybody could see behind that mask, they would know that you're terrified of making a mistake or being, found out that you really don't know what you're doing. I know the first really big management job I had, managing a real estate office, I felt like I was playing dress up every day, and I just hoped nobody would figure it out, or maybe you've landed a new job. I had a client that this was the case. She got a new job, a really exciting job to her, and she's terrified, once she starts it, they're going to find out she really doesn't know enough to be good at it. Or, you could be volunteering for an organization or a great cause, and you feel like everybody but you knows what they're doing, and you hope nobody notices, that you're not as confident and sure as at least you're imagining them to be in your head. Oftentimes, a person with imposter syndrome will feel like they were just lucky to get there. Again, like it's no big deal. Anybody could do this. But the truth is, not anybody can do it, and nobody can do it the way you are, because you are a unique gift to the world. And so we're going to look at this from like this: how does a badass deal with this? How do I know you're a badass? Because you wouldn't be asking these kinds of questions and watching these kinds of videos if you weren't. So the fact that you're here tells me you're a badass, and you want to see what's going on inside of you that's holding you back, right? What is this imposter syndrome? How do I slay it so that it doesn't diminish me professionally or personally, and I can go into situations with much more confidence? So the first tip for this video is going to be knowing that your feelings are not facts. So we've all had this experience where we think somebody's mad at us, and then we find out they aren't. And so we find out what we felt, all the things we felt about that, right? Maybe we got defensive, maybe we got our feelings hurt, maybe we got mad at them. All kinds of feelings get stirred up. And after the feeling comes a thought. And in fact, none of it was true. So the same thing is happening to you in these situations at work or in your volunteer life or at home, whatever it is that's triggering your imposter syndrome. Those feelings that you're just lucky, that you're not really good at it, that somebody's going to find out you're not good at it, that you need to hide, you need to, whatever. Those are feelings, and they don't represent the truth. They don't mean you were lucky. They don't mean you're not good at what you do. They don't mean you're playing dress up like I was. I was very effective as a manager. And was I as good of a manager then as I became later? No, of course not. And we'll go into that in our next video. But the fact that you're still a work in progress doesn't mean that you're not a badass, right? So the difference between an imposter and a badass is that an imposter believes those feelings and the thoughts that accompany them, that they're not, as good as somebody else, that they're faking it, that they're lucky, da da da. And a badass says, no way, like I earned this, I'm good at this, I can learn something new so that I become good at it. They say that, I think it's this may not be exactly right, but it's something like this. You'll get the idea that a man will apply for a job if he feels like he can do at least 20% of the activities, the duties, in the job description. Whereas a woman won't do it unless she feels like she can already do at least 80%. So we just tend to think we have to know everything and be really super good at it or be perfect at it before we can say yes. And that is not true. When we're in our best badass, brilliant self, that's a lot to say, best badass, brilliant self, we know we can come to the table as a whole being. I've got my strengths and I've got my weaknesses, and I'm willing to learn and be coached on the things I can improve on, get improvement on, or outsource to somebody else or whatever. That's being a badass. We don't look at it and say, oh, well, we're not good enough, right? Those are the feelings of the imposter that are not true. So I hope you'll join me in video 2, because all of these videos will serve to help you as you grow from imposter syndrome to badass. And the other thing I want to share with you is that really nobody does this journey or needs to do this journey alone. The journey from imposter syndrome to badass can be a big one, and it can be hard. And I want these videos to help you. But just like I needed help to get from one to the other, and I've coached clients from imposter syndrome to badasses, it's okay for you to need that help too, because we really weren't meant to learn all these deep, meaningful things that improve our lives alone. So that's why a lot of times the self-help industry sort of fails us, because it puts out an idea like I'm doing, feelings aren't facts. Okay, you can understand that. And so now you have this expectation that you should be able to go do that, that tomorrow when your buttons get pushed for imposter syndrome, you can say, oh, Brenda said feelings aren't facts. Okay, no problem, I'm good. And it's just not that easy, and that's okay. That's what coaches and mentors are for. So I'm here for you. I'm sure there are others in your world that are there for you in that regard. And so be sure and reach out to me, put something in the comments below, email me at brenda@brendaflorida.com and ask me any questions, or reach out for help, or we can schedule a 15-minute discovery call and talk about whether coaching with me will in fact help you. So I'll see you in the next video on the second way to work with your imposter syndrome and kick that to the curb. I'm Brenda Florida, certified life coach. Thanks for joining me.